Now for pistons, this is what we've got going on. There's not a whole lot of aftermarket available for these motors, probably because no one builds them anymore. But this guy is. So here's what we got. And this is what the piston looks like. Quite a bit different. It's a lot shallower of a dish. I'm sure you can find the specs online on all that stuff. I'll be going over weight and stuff. So we should be raising this to, oh, does it say compression high? Okay, that's all the same, 6 cc's. Let me find, I'm gonna put that number right here. And that compression ratio, I want to say 9.4 to 1. Originally was 7.8. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we're going to be upping it quite a bit. And obviously, more compression, more power. Now let's go compare this to the weight. Because weight's always important. Now this one is not as big of a deal. So yeah, clean looking piston, as I said before, 24 thousandths over. And also another big difference we've got here is the ring thickness. These are a lot thinner. And also there's some space in between the first and second ring. I'm not quite sure on why that would be better, but it is. I think the oil ring is the same, just the compression rings are thinner. And doing that, you're gonna create a better seal on the cylinder. So starting off with the old one first, we've got 950 grams with the wrist pin. Let's measure the new one. Don't have the rings on it yet, but here's a stack of rings that will be going on to said piston. So 891 grams. So we're knocking off 60 grams or so. So not a ton, but I mean, it is less weight. That means less weight in the crankshaft to counter it. So that is considerable, I would say. About a 10% decrease in weight. So that's pretty good. And of course, quite a bit thinner. Now let's look at ring thickness, and we'll see how well that this goes. Not sure how well you can see it, but that's a ring thickness change. It's not a ton, but it makes a difference. Yep. So we got the block set up. I'm waiting on the camshaft, and then this is going to be going together. So that's what we've got going on in the bottom end so far. Well, we're starting the assembly on the 403, and someone's going to get mad at me, but I don't care. Here's my little trick. I mean, this isn't, you shouldn't get mad at this one, but I actually install my camshafts dry. Let's see here, I'll get to that in just a bit. Boom. It's easier. And if you install your camshaft before your crankshaft, you just pour a little bit of oil down there. And guess what? Your camshaft is not dry. Or you can do assembly lube, that'll work too. It'll get in there. Maybe during the winter it'd be harder for it to soak in there, but then you can just run it around a little bit, pour some oil down there, and then this way, with no lube in there, you can feel. Does it feel like it's too tight? No. It slides around just fine dry. That means it's going to slide around even better when the oil's warm. It's going to turn real good. So there you go. Just a little tip. Don't get too mad at me, but I've been doing that for years and it works. So as simple as this. Just take your assembly lube, a little bit, pour it down there. I already did the others. Rotate it a few times. And guess what? If you pull it out, you're going to see some lube in there. Do that a few times, and shoot, we got lube all the way around. If you can see it. Oh, popped out. But yeah, just a little trick. Sometimes you can't do that on certain engines, but in this case you can. Makes it easy, and you're cleaner. Well, I had to take a break from the bottom end. I forgot to order the rear main seal. That's on the way. That'll be here tomorrow. Surprisingly, O'Reilly's had one in the warehouse. You put a Ford 460 or Y block or whatever, and those usually fit. Part numbers, I don't know, Felpro BS 1617, something other in there. We'll see that tomorrow. Anyways, yeah, filed the rings. I do, on a street strip, I do 45 10,000ths per inch. So that puts me at 20 thousandths ring gap. I do it the old-fashioned way. Put them in, feeler gauge, and then I use a file because, yeah, there's ring filing tools that you can put in there and then use a drill and all that stupid stuff. I find that you're going to spend more time doing setup than you're actually filing, so buy a nice file. Surprisingly, Snap-on actually makes a pretty good one. I've been happy with it. And then know how to use a file so that it doesn't dull. You only cut. You don't do this, you do this. And look out into the sun, use that as a guide, and file your rings. Don't need a fancy tool just for it to collect dust and spend hundreds of dollars for no reason. So those are filed, and we're going to install rings on pistons and get ready for tomorrow for bottom end completion. And for reference, BS 6141 right there. It's a half moon Vidon seal. Fits right where the rope seal's supposed to go. Obviously, not going to fit there. Don't try that one. I'm sure someone has. So we're going to put a little bit more lube in the camshaft. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. It's all the way around, well lubed up. We're going to put assembly lube on the mains, and let's drop the crank in. We got all of our pistons rung. And I started putting bearings on caps because I like to just get everything of one step done, and then so that way I'm not putting on bearing, installing a piston, putting on bearing, installing a piston, just get all of it done all at once. So let's get going. So this is the timing set. If you saw my camshaft video with a hydraulic roller, this is the timing set that we're putting in. I've done these before, but mine didn't come with directions, but I've done them before. You've got a couple different options here. You've got 0, you've got advanced with an A, and retarded. From my understanding, if you've watched like Engine Masters or anything like that, which that is probably one of the best shows to ever come out for the engine community, looking at what's worth doing and why it works. Those guys, Freiberger and both Steves, they do a good job in there. Anyways, let's get to what we're doing here. we're going to be setting it up on 0. And if you look, you're going to correspond it to this timing mark. So we got a mark here that's on the 0. And you can flip these to change your cam timing. From my understanding, if you want more instant power, so bottom end power, you're going to want to run it more retarded. And then if you're going to want to... Hello? And if you're going to be wanting more top end power, you're going to run a little more advanced. I would guess that this is probably a 2-degree change either way, but we're going to run it in the middle just so we get a good even power. So we're going to be putting the keyway on the 0. Easy enough. Pretty sure it's as simple as this. Make sure that your O dot, there's the O in the bottom there, and then that dot, so it tells you which dot to use, which cam timing setting you're going to be doing.
Shine your flashlight. Yeah. For that. And you say you love Clink. Well, yeah, so you can blind her? You want her to be blind at 15? Then she won't be able to drive. Oh, that's why he's doing it. He doesn't want Clink to drive.
So this oil pump came with an upgrade. the stock one here. There we go. Anyways, the idea is, I already put the new spring in, but there's a purple spring that you can put in here for the relief, and that adds 10 psi to it. So if you need more pressure, change that spring out. It's purple.
Kind of jumping around. I'm a little sick. Anyways, it's a different day. Camshaft's actually installed. I'm assembling the motor, so sneak peek. Woo! Yay! Anyways, I thought I would. This isn't going to be a short video. Shocker. Anyways, with these lifters, this was supposed to be a short one that I would just do on my phone, but it's going to be more complicated. So. Anyways, I keep saying I'm sick and my head's gone. So let's do complicated stuff. These are shaped like this to make room for the intake, and the intake kind of goes in the valley. And so I will not be running a valley pan because there won't be room with these lifters. So they're shaped like that. So you have to put the wishbone on the inside. So if you're doing this, if you're putting this kind of a valve train setup, you're going to have to grind a little bit off of the block here in a couple of places. You're going to have to do it here, there, and same on the other side. So it's exactly 3/8 from here to here. So if you want to measure that before you get stuff, you can measure from here to here. That'll give you an idea of how far from the stud, and it'll clear to get that wishbone in. So that's how that's going to go. And my measurements for, let's see here, so if we have our stock lifter and we take one of our new lifters, so that's going to be our height difference. The plunger up is going to be all the way up here, so you're going to have to get different push rods anyways, but I figured I'd throw this on here for you. So your old lifter height is going to be 1.765 and then 2.418. So if you shorten up your push rod that much, you should be somewhere in the ballpark of being right. But obviously we don't do things like that on a motor, so we're going to be getting that stuff. We're going to be getting our new valve train stuff. I'll be throwing that in this video here as well on some roller rockers that I just ordered. Those should be here tomorrow or the next day. So we'll get that going. And then we'll be adjusting to figure out push rod length. And then you'll know for this certain thing. And the reason why we need to put these backwards like this is because the intake goes inside this valley. So it needs to all fit in, and I'll show you the intake. That's not clean yet, but we're getting there. So then you're going to be hitting your lifters on here, and normally, sure, you could put an aluminum intake in there. You could get your high rise or something like that. This is just the stock cast iron intake. Well, we have to run this because of smog, because of our stupid state, and because the shaker hood, you need to fit all of that underneath there. So that's why it's so low. So that's why we're doing what we do. So normally we would run this valley pan in there, but we won't be running that because there's just not going to be room for the lifters. I think there is a valley pan that has little lift spots. Like here, it'll kind of lift up a little bit to make room for the lifter, but I don't really want to mess with that. So we're just going to run no valley pan. I understand that that's going to get heat into your intake and you'll lose a little performance, but there's only so much we can do. with the tight package we've got to fit this engine in. So it'll be a few days and we'll get back at this video. Oh, and before I go, I've got these set up, and this is just a lesson of always test fit things before you completely assemble stuff. Not that I made this mistake actually, the first time I followed my own advice. These lifters, if you're flipping them like this to make room for the intake, make sure you put your lifters in before your cylinder heads, because the cylinder head will go up to here or so, and you're not going to be able to get your lifter in. Now, if you, so just make sure you put your lifters in before you put your heads on, or they won't fit. Now, as far as installing lifters, my process is, if it's like an LS engine, I'll soak them. But if it's an adjustable push rod, adjustable rocker arm or something, whatever, like a small block Chevy, I do not soak them. Simply because it'll make adjusting valve lash kind of difficult. But for an LS engine, you're normally you're just slapping them in because LS engines don't wear out really. So your valves, you're gonna cut 2 or 3 thousandths off of the valves when you grind them. You're gonna be cutting a couple thousandths off of the seats. So with 50 thousandths of lash in your lifters, you don't really have to worry about anything there. That one's a little stiff, a little tap of the hammer and it'll sit right in. And if you watched my last video, you'll see that you make sure that you install these lifters before the head. Actually, scratch that. When I test fit it with the head with no gasket, you couldn't get them in, but now you can. So that extra 50 thousandths is that gap right there. So yeah, if you got the head gasket on, now if you've got a really thin MLS, maybe it won't fit. Like if you got a 24 thousandths, might not. But with a 50 thousandths gasket, I think it just barely, you can barely get them in and out. So just so you guys know that one. As far as valve train in this build, we're doing some things that are a little overkill, but you know what? It's going to make it nice and reliable. I've got some, well, they're ARP, but in a comp box, because that was the easiest way to find it. 4542-16, quantity of 16. This is a, let's see here, 5/16, yeah, 5/16 coarse thread into the top, so that's stock. And then got a 3/8 fine thread, so 3/8 24 sticking out the top. That's going to make it a little bit more rigid, and it's an ARP bolt, so I'm not worried about this breaking. That should be just fine. Next is guide plates. These are for 5/16 rods, so 4842-8. Obviously 8 of those. This is going to be add a little bit of rigidity to it, so those go there underneath your studs, and that'll keep your push rods from moving side to side. Doing the math on all the push rod length, I came up with, let's see, 7.950. I've got an 80 thousandths thick push rod hollow through for oil, so that's what I came up with there. And then I'm doing some what is this, high energy roller rockers, and then they've got the nylox, oh shoot, what do you want to call them, anyways, screws down onto the stud, and then it's got a set screw in the top. That way you don't have to replace if you need to change anything. Easy. There's my part number there. That is 1702-16. So doing all this, it's gonna make for a nice valve train here. So got my geometry all figured out, and so let's get these installed, huh? Yeah, doing all these things are going to make sure that you're going to be able to get the reds that you want. Now, actually, I switched springs, and here's my reasoning. Where did that box go? Drop everything, huh? What the heck? Where did that box go? That'll work. I changed springs. I did a video with changing the springs in the head video, but I will correct that. I'll go back and put a tag in there. So I actually changed it to a 160 1488. That's an SBI number. That's for like 2006 or so through 13, I want to say, somewhere in that area. It's for the early LS engines. The thickness of the springs are the same. The spring rate's all the same. The only difference is these are an 1/8 of an inch shorter than the ones that I had before. And so the new ones go up to about there. And what was happening was with the higher lift, this is 480 lift, it was bottoming out the spring just barely. It needed another 30 thousandths. So with these, they've got plenty of room and they're safe. So this is still way better than stock, but I think it loses about 15 pounds of pressure. But I mean, it's going to be just fine. This is way better than the stock version. So
I'll make that correction in there. So I used 160 1488 springs. That's for an earlier LS. So same thing, I had to cut the bottom of the springs to make them fit the locators, and some of them I had to trim the top for the retainer to get that to slip in, but that was just a little bit of the polishing, die grinder polishing sandpaper thing. Yeah. So that concludes the valve train on this. So I'll have to close up this video with admitting I got lazy on editing this and or filming it, because it's just such a long project and many other things that were, well, more important and more pressing than finishing up this project. But I finished it, and I looked, and I had uploaded the previous videos 7 months earlier. So this engine's been done for a long time. I painted this motor, I want to say October, November. I want to say November, somewhere in there. And this is how it turned out. It is Oldsmobile, no, sorry, 78. They went to GM Corporate Blue. Now, I like, I'm a big fan of like the Pour 15 engine enamels. They've got 20 different colors in there. They turn out good. This is, sorry, sidetrack. Just finished up this Jeep 4.6 stroker and painted it black. I like fancy colors, but the customer wanted black. I think it's always fun to leave the brass freeze plugs, you know, not paint those. Gives it a little extra bling, right? I like it. But anyways, Pour 15, they make some great products, and I like their engine enamels. They always turn out good. I don't use rattle cans unless I have to, or if I'm really pressed for time, the customer really just doesn't care. Or I can't get the color at an affordable price, because there's a lot of different rattle cans for engine enamels. So this one is Corporate Blue, and you can't buy it. And so I'm just going to give a shout out to Andy's Automotive Paint in Visalia, California. They mixed this one up for me. When it was all said and done, the paint costs about $120 or so. It's a lot of money, but it is good quality. It's got a hardener in it. It's going to last for a long time. It is very shiny. There's a little dust on it already. It's been sitting. I had a cover over it, but dust still gets in it. So I love the way it turned out. It's a very nice looking blue. The colors that I could get were close, but the customer, he's doing a restoration. He wanted it as close to original as he could. And so that's what we did. And you know what? I'm going to go along with it because it looks fantastic. And I also left the brass freeze plugs untouched. I think that just looks good. So that's just to kind of finish up this project here. You know what? Another sidetrack is that Leno's Law is kind of bouncing around right now, and it's in the Senate. It's been amended and things tweaked just a little bit, but it's going. And so this might not have to be smogged, which I'm glad we were edging that fine line, that gray area of will it pass smog, will it not? Because guess what? It might not matter, because this is going to be exempted in that law, because it's going to be garage kept. It's going to probably have classic car insurance and all that good stuff on it. So it's going to be exempt from all that stupidity. So I'm excited that we kind of put the power to this one, because it might have passed smog. It would have passed smog with some playing around and stuff like that with the distributor and timing and all that, but we don't have to worry about that, because it looks like that law is going to pass. Finally, California figured, just get rid of smog. Just yeah, you're so sorry. Try to keep the politics out of it. Hate the state. But yeah, we got the power to it. And you know what? I got a call from a guy in Canada today, I think Alberta, and we were talking because he saw this on YouTube and he wanted to talk to me about it. He found my business under there and contacted me, and we just talked about the motor for a little bit. And he loves what I'm doing. And you know what? I failed to mention some things. I wanted to put more cam specs and little things in there. I wanted to do a separate video of the camshaft alone, so I'm going to insert that in here. The camshaft is a custom grind, and so I had some guys in Washington do it for me, and so they do all my custom cams for me, and it's great. It is obviously you saw it, it's a hydraulic roller, and so stock is obviously flat tap at hydraulic, but we wanted to make this a smooth driver, reliable, so we went hydraulic roller, and it's got Morello rollers, I think, and it's a billet cam. And so stock, I want to say, is like somewhere around a 190 duration at 50, 400 lift, maybe even 390. It's just a terrible camshaft, absolutely terrible. But here we bumped it up to a lobe separation of 114 to kind of keep it tame. You could get a little more ratty with the 110, but I think the 114 is going to make it smooth, which is what we're going for here. Our duration is 205, 211 at 50. That's intake and exhaust. That is going to help get that exhaust out a little bit more. And then our final lift is 480, and that's going to make really nice camshaft. So we got 80 more lift. That's when the 1/6 rocker ratio. So if you're curious on what I got in that camshaft, so we've got the roughly 9.6 to 1 compression. We've got a really good hydraulic roller camshaft, and I will confirm, I put in a little note in the video, but if you didn't see it, I did confirm that you can get a valley plate that's got kind of like little lumps in there to make a little extra room for lifters. So with the roller, and it's a pretty easy valley pan to find. Just kind of look it up. You'll see a little lump in there where the lifters go, and it fits in there pretty good. And so then, as you can see, I got the intake manifold, the stock one, on there, and it rotates and it's all good. So yeah, I'm excited. My buddy's doing the restoration right now, and I can't wait to hear this thing be inside that engine, inside that car, and then run. It's going to be awesome. So this is going to sound fantastic. I can't wait to hear it. But yeah, this kind of concludes a little small series. I wanted to do more with it, but you know, you just get so busy and caught up in just actually getting stuff done and not filming at all. I don't have time to sit with the camera all the time. So thanks for watching this one, and if this is stuff you like, great, thank you. Keep watching. I appreciate it. And if you got little tips and things like, hey, I want to see more of this, hey, I want to see more of that, let me know. It's not for me, it's for you guys. So I want to do what you guys want to do. And yeah, a little sneak peek. Here we go. 312 Y block. Just pulled this out of the truck yesterday. 56 F100, and it's a 312. It's already 60 over, and we've got some rust in the cylinders, so I'm throwing around the idea of sleeving it. little sneak peek there. We got some cool stuff coming with that one. I've never done a Y block. I know a little bit about them, but I ain't no professional. But this is my first one, and well, that was my first one. That was my first one. There's a bunch of stuff here is my first one, and guess what? They all work. So, there it is. There's that. That's going to be coming up. I got about 3 months to get that one done until the next stage of that truck project needs to get going. There's a lot of talking. All right. Thank you very much. You guys have a good evening. You take care.